IVM.
There's a quick survey to fill out on ivmpodcast.com/survey. It lets us know a little bit more about who's listening to us. And you know what? We're going to do a few prizes. So, we'll do a random drawing of maybe 10 people and we'll send you all some swag. Remember, that's ivmpodcast.com/survey where you can fill out the survey.
Hello and welcome to the Habit Coach podcast. I am Ashdin Doctor, your habit coach, and today on the hot seat we have Ravish. Now he says, how do I learn stuff more efficiently? I tend to learn an idea or a piece of knowledge to some extent, but when it comes to applying these ideas in real life, I tend to forget the whole stuff I learned just a few days back and have to relearn it from the start. Is there a way to learn new things in an effective manner which can stay in my brain for longer? This is a lovely question because we almost get addicted to learning information. We want to know more. I once had a client who would spend his entire day just learning and reading books, listening to podcasts, and then there was no actual change in his life. So what I made him do was I made him take a 2-week break from any new information. He was not allowed to consume any new information. He was not allowed to learn anything new till he actually started putting into practice what he had done. And that completely changed his perception of things, because when he started not learning, he realized how addicted he was to gathering information. And gathering information is just like hoarding. There are so many people who hoard things. Like our parents keep talking about, it might come in use in the future, which is why we keep hoarding these pieces of newspaper, or we keep hoarding rubber bands. In the same way, we also hoard information and knowledge. And as soon as you realize that is what's happening, you can do 2 things. The first is what I told my client to do is something that you can do as well. Take a break from it. For 2 weeks, don't learn anything new. Instead, try putting into practice stuff that you've learned. Things that you've forgotten, no problem. That is the beauty of the mind. Whatever is not important at that point of time, it puts it away and files it away. Otherwise, what is the use? It'll get completely full and you will not be able to pull out the important stuff. So don't worry about forgetting things, because at that point of time in your life, it is not important. The second thing you can do, and this is something that I suggest all of us do, is whenever we hear something that is interesting, we go and tell 3 people about it. Like, I hope you'll do this about the Habit Coach podcast. Every time you hear an idea that is interesting, go and tell people about it. Because when you tell someone about it, it is reinforcing that idea in your mind. The next step to this is actually following up on that idea, doing that idea, doing that habit, doing that action. And then what happens is, not only do you understand it from a theory point of view, but you also understand it from a practical point of view. And when you understand it from a practical point of view, life changes, because now you've got actual evidence that this works. When you now go and tell people about it, the confidence with which you will be able to share this information is far more. So I always follow this principle. Whenever you learn something, practice it, do it, and then teach other people about it. When you follow these 3 steps, you'll realize that whatever you've learned has now become embedded in you. It has almost become a part of you, because you've actually used this information that has come into your life. So, Ravish, think about it this way. Don't become an information hoarder. Don't become addicted to learning. I know it's a slippery slope, just like how we are addicted to finding things on Instagram, just like how we are binge watching things on YouTube. In fact, very often looking for information is like porn. It is becoming something that is addictive and pulls you in. So learn to step away from this, and you'll see a big difference in your life. Put into practice what you've learned before you learn something else new. All right, so if you want to be featured on the next Habit Coach Hot Seat episode, there's a link below in the show description. Click on it and give me a nice big description of the problem that you're facing, so I have more information to help you out with. I'm Ashdin Doctor, your habit coach. And remember, awesome lives, they start with awesome habits. Usually in a podcast, it's me who speaks to you and you who listens. But I've been seeing your comments, and it's time. It's me listening to you. Following the overwhelming success of this podcast, the good folks at IVM Podcast Network have decided to come up with a Kannada adaptation of the show for those who prefer listening to it in that language. Do make sure you let your Kannada speaking friends know about this as well. Now, if you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on social media. We are at IVM Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, I am at Ashdin Doc on Twitter and Instagram. We have a brand new habit coaching online course, quizzes, videos, and a lot more on the website awesome180.com. So check it out now.
Hey everybody, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On The Habit Coach, Ashdin talks to the founder of Radiance Clinic, Dr. Falguni Shah. She shares 3 must-do things for healthy and glowing skin. On The Longest Constitution, Priya delves into the state-wise regulation of trade, sale, and consumption of alcohol. On Tere Mere Raste, Keshav describes the serene 100-kilometer journey between Leh and the Lamayaru Monastery. On Smarter with Sid, Siddharth shares 3 lessons we can learn from Hajime Isayama, the creator of the super hit anime show Attack on Titans. And on All Things Policy, the Takshashila folk observe humanitarian corridors and their existence in times of war, both in the current and historical contexts. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. Also, don't forget to rate us on any of the platforms you might be listening to us on. And do check us out on YouTube. We're building a whole bunch of different channels. You can find them on ivmpodcast.com/YouTube. And we're also doing a small listener survey, which we would really appreciate your help with. It helps us kind of talk to advertisers. So you could go to ivmpodcast.com/survey. It'll just take a couple of minutes and it would be really helpful to us. We do appreciate this. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors this week, SBI Life Insurance and the India Water Portal. Thank you so much for making this possible.
इन्फ्लेशन, फिस्कल डेफिसिट, जीडीपी, एमएसपी, एनपीए, इक्विटी मार्केट वगैरह वगैरह। दोस्तों, हमने सारे शब्द टीवी या अखबार में जरूर देखे होंगे या फिर सुने होंगे, पर हम में से कितने लोग हैं जो ये जानते हैं कि इन सब का सीधा प्रभाव पड़ता है हमारी सैलरी पर, हमारे इंक्रीमेंट पर और कमबख्त हमारे खर्चों पर। दोस्तों, मेरा नाम है अभिनव त्रिवेदी और मैं बात कर रहा हूँ इक्का दुक्का इकोनॉमी पॉडकास्ट से, जहाँ पे इस तरह के इकोनॉमिक और फाइनेंशियल टर्म्स को मैं जोड़ूंगा सीधा आपकी जेब से। हर मंगलवार एक नया एपिसोड सुने IVM पॉडकास्ट की वेबसाइट, ऐप या फिर किसी भी अन्य पॉडकास्ट प्लेटफॉर्म पर।